And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. And yes, we had some exciting stuff go down this past week. We'll be recovering with you here, talking all about it. Show host Paulie here with you as we have got a full house in board today for the second week in a row. Always good to have full participation in this and some interesting pre-show chat about hairstyles and also my confusion on scheduling. So thanks to all who participated in that. We got Daryl in the house, and two questions. First of all, Daryl, the red button for Diet Coke, is it going to happen or not?
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I don't have one of those for anything.
But you got to get one, right?
I don't know. I'm not a diet fan. Let me think. If I had a button, what drink would it be? I didn't know there was going to be a quiz this morning, Paul. Jeez.
You didn't study?
It'd have to be wine. It'd probably have to be wine.
Yeah, I'd like to see you after a couple lines working the buttons in the ACC Control Center. That would be fun. What do you mean commercial? I don't want a commercial.
Yeah. Sandstorm now.
But it's pre-game introductions. That doesn't matter.
Middle of a fast break and all the lights go red.
Hey, there's fighting words for a certain team from whichever conference it was where
Yeah.
their last second tie attempt got just cut short by the lights going out.
Yeah.
Scrap all the commercials. Just play Joker and the Thief's Fall. All right. I got that going on for Daryl. Also, Daryl's new impending hairstyle. Here you saw Dana's new look, and I know you've already made a stylist appointment to go ahead and get the same, right?
Oh, yeah. You can't go wrong with blonde highlights. Dana debuted her new hairstyle on Instagram last night. I guess she got the #1 ranking, got the win under her belt, and thought a new hairstyle was the next best thing.
It's just a matter of time until she goes bald.
I could never keep up with Dana's stylist, that's for sure.
No, and I'm not going to try. That's Dana, because I can tell because of the eyelashes. Okay, it doesn't matter about anything else. The eyelashes. Jared Anderson board with us today. Jared getting ready to go from one job to another, and he's also proud to have had front row seats for the Q show Thursday night. Did you pick up any fashion tips from Q, Jared? Any glassware, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm debating if I need to get some bigger glasses now and shave my head. So we will have to see how that goes. But it was always a treat when you can see an animated Q like that and be able to both see and hear him very clearly up front like that.
I really can't believe that you just sold out, betrayed Katie like that, and her fight to keep Jared from going on crazy fashions.
We're gonna have a whole different looking crew after
I'm
the
telling you,
show.
Jared's gonna be coming out dressed like CeeLo Green or something next time around.
Katie's
She doesn't like my sense of fashion.
Katie's depending on our support here to keep him in line. Go on.
Absolutely, and I'm full behind Katie. Because Jared, if you come in with a CeeLo Green outfit on and a shaved head, the first thing that's going to happen are people are going to come up and ask you if you're in remission and how you're feeling, how's the chemo going. Okay, so don't do it.
Well, she didn't like those pants I wanted.
I know, right?
Oh, Jesus,
submarine multicolored
horrendous.
Jared, I liked him.
Well,
You got one
I don't
vote
think-
for me.
They were on sale a few days ago. Sadly, they're not on sale anymore. So
Ugh,
They would
So
be
that's not happening.
they would be
that's why you gotta act fast.
a choice, not a choice that I would choose, but they would be a
You
choice.
should have bought 3 pair, Jared. One for you, one for Daryl, and one for Katie. And you all could have gone out in public and been banned from any type of public places. There you go.
We would look so cool.
I thought I was gonna wear them for senior day at basketball.
Uh,
A little bit.
You'll be at a Top Golf drinking beer. Forget
You
it.
wear those, I bet Dana Evans gives you
Dana
a
gets a pair the next week. Yes.
I guarantee it.
I also need to get a T-shirt for Dana Senior Day and just like blow up a picture of Dana and say "Go Dana" Right,
It's
front and
got to have
center on TV.
eyelashes on the chest.
Yeah, you got to have eyelashes on the shirt, otherwise it just won't work.
Let's go on and claim that idea of an eyelash T-shirt now.
Well,
Actual
we're
protruding
completely off the rails already here. Let's go to Case Hoskins next. Case is going through job changes. He's got the week off and he's going to start working in Blueville. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Case.
I joked that I might actually be able to make it to some of those away local games since I won't have to drive anywhere. I'd just already be there. But I will. This job change has given me reason to issue everyone a technological warning. If you don't want to spend an entire basketball game and beyond airdropping contacts from your iPad to your phone, make sure that your default contact adding account is not your work email account, so that when you delete that contact, you don't lose every single one that you've had for you've added in the last 7 years since starting that job. Because that's what I got to do on Thursday night while I was watching the women's basketball game, was just tap a bunch of buttons on my iPad, tap a bunch of buttons on my phone, back and forth until I added, I don't know how many contacts it was. I didn't try to keep count.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Button careers are intense. Okay.
This is part of why I go to fairly significant efforts to keep my work and personal computing environments separate from each other.
Well, I made sure that my default account now is my Gmail account on my phone.
Right.
And when I add a new one to it, I will ensure that the default remains the Gmail account.
Well, I don't have any work stuff on my phone at all. I don't get my work email on my phone. So
I just don't want to carry around two phones.
Well, I don't carry two phones anyway. I just don't have a work phone. I don't have work email on a phone at all. So So
must be nice to not have clients that want to call you at all hours of the day, Jeff.
Well, hey, this is the first job I've had. The one that I've been in for the past 10 months is the first job I've had, probably in 2 decades, that I haven't been on an on-call rotation. So I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, you're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And certainly one of the things Jeff is enjoying, in addition to his job status, is also the start of volleyball. The Big Ten got started. He got to watch volleyball and got to see a pretty good Wisconsin team, eh?
Yeah, it was not a particularly good match because it was a little lopsided. It was the NCAA oddball spring part of this season for this year, this academic year, where everything's weird because COVID started up last night for some conferences. Big Ten started play. Wisconsin thumped Purdue pretty well, actually. It was I think it was 3 straight. And Purdue's like 13th ranked nationally, so it was kind of a lopsided match. I actually turned it off about halfway through, and I went and found UofL's game against Texas in the tournament where we beat Texas and watched that again because that's a fun one to watch, worthy of a rewatch.
Well, we don't need no stinking Badgers, and also we've got some Louisville volleyball that schedule addition. The spring was announced. We'll talk into that a little bit later. I've got problems with the schedule. We'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
As for myself, just a week of kind of just watching stuff, things going on, and also got a bit of a scare. Personal note here: I did get a contact tracing call early in the week, and that is a very nervous time for all. I have had 2 COVID tests since then. Both have come back negative. I am planning one more. So thankful for that. Not thankful for the fact that I've got to go in there and have a brain poke. But, we do what we do.
Are you lined up to get vaccines yet?
Sonia gets to go in Monday as a part of the Jefferson County Public School System vaccination. I'm going to see if I can sneak along and maybe slip past the qualifications and get one as well. But from what I understand, they're checking pretty closely. And it's kind of like people in pre-war Germany. I don't have my papers, sir. I don't know if I can pass the border. That being as it is, certainly so. But part of the show where we turn it over to Case Hoskins for scheduling and Twitter information. Case, give it to us, baby.
Yeah. personal scheduling, you just reminded me. My wife and I both need to schedule our vaccine appointments and try and get on the list because we are essential workers
IT
as
and
engineers /
communication.
contractors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
So she's transportation engineer and I'm contractor construction engineer. So both eligible as part of Phase 1C. So hope to get those since I do at least, need to be in the office every day, and the sooner I can not have to worry about the other people around me, the better. But in no hurry, because obviously other people need it more than I do personally. But if we look to the schedule here, first thing on Louisville's schedule is the all-day track event, track and field at the Hokie Invitational, the continuation and I guess conclusion of yesterday's event. With UofL having a few wins yesterday, some good results, talked about a little bit in the article today, and they'll hope to get a few more throughout today. Swimming is taking on Kentucky in Lexington today at 1. That head-to-head meet, the Battle of the Bluegrass, I guess the first Battle of the Bluegrass of 2021, and actually that makes it the first Battle of the Bluegrass of the 2020-21 season.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think so.
Men looking to beat Kentucky for the second time in a row. Women looking for revenge against Kentucky for that last matchup. The Kentucky team is ranked 10th, so that's going to be a tough battle. Should be exciting, though, so follow along with the swimming Twitter because they're sure to post the results over there. The big one today, men's basketball taking on Duke at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Tomorrow, women's basketball continues their play every other day. Well, not every other day today, but we'll start their play every other day for next week. They're playing Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So they kick that off with a road game tomorrow at Wake Forest at 2 p.m. That one's available on ACC Network proper, as most of the Sunday women's basketball games are. And then women's tennis will take on Ball State as they start their season since their previous opener was canceled against Notre Dame. And Jeff, I did find out Bellarmine does have a volleyball program. They start their season tomorrow against Mercer.
I thought they did, but I couldn't remember for sure.
Men's golf kicks off a 3-day event, Southwestern Invitational in Westlake Village, California, starting on Monday, going through Wednesday. Like I mentioned, women's basketball playing on Tuesday as well. They're taking on Miami in the Yum Center. That one's at 4 p.m. With no TV listed, so to keep an eye out to see if anybody picks that one up before Tuesday. Wednesday, track heads to South Bend for a 1-day invitational against Notre Dame. Men's tennis brings in Dayton for a doubleheader at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Then women's basketball takes on North Carolina at 7 p.m. on Thursday. They have live video listed as a link you can click, but doesn't say what that is on the calendar, which is unusual. So probably ACC Network Extra, maybe ACC Network.
They're not sure.
Well, let's see where the video link goes. Why don't we? We'll just be interested. It takes you to ESPN, so it will be on the ACC Network, either Extra or proper. One would have to guess, and that takes you to the end of the week. Move on to Twitter accounts. I tweet is at best case scenario. That's BST case scenario. Daryl is Daryl Faust 4. Daryl with a Y and just one L and the numeral 4. Jared is Mr. Anderson Jared. He posted some zoo pics last week. I think you're getting out to the zoo again next week. Is that right, Jared?
Yeah, the week off before I start the new job, got my membership renewed as a Christmas present, so I'll head out there and enjoy a weekday, and hopefully the animals will be interactive.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
And I'll get a couple meerkat pictures just for Jeff.
Yeah. Meerkats are fun.
I was partial to that seal picture. I believe seal, right? Seals have ears. Sea lions don't have ears.
Yeah.
Water puppies.
Or the other way around.
Exactly. They're just water dogs. Water puppies.
Yeah. They're both water dogs. Doesn't matter which kind.
Yeah, the river otters are always fun out there too.
Yep. Paul tweets as at Cardinal Couple, and Jeff as at Card Couple Radio and Jeff McAdams. And like I mentioned, follow along to the right side of the site for the Twitter list of all the UofL women's athletics, particularly keeping up with swimming today for their meet to get all those results. And track and field, they'll probably post their results there too as well.
Yeah, swimming is really good about posting their results as they come in. Track and field seems a little less so, but you can pretty much count on swimming to have pretty much every event result they throw in there. So it's pretty busy.
Certainly. So go to cardinalcouple.com for daily articles, including some great articles this week we had in there covering basketball and other things. And also check out the right-hand side of the site where we look at Jeff's scheduling information and Twitter information, and also we keep you up on other things over there as well. Make it a part of your morning routine. Take 2 aspirin. and read Cardinal Couple. You'll probably need 2 more aspirin afterward on our website, cardinalcouple.com. And we appreciate you doing that. As we move on into some of the things that have happened the last week, let's just get this out of the way. First of all, concerning women's basketball, we did have a guess contest last week as the Cardinals played Florida State. The game didn't go down to the wire, but our contest did. Case Hoskins squeezing out a 1-point differential win over Darrell. He was 16 off the final score. Darrell was 17. Jeff very close in third at 19. Jared and I also participated. So, Case the reigning champion. As we go into this week, we will take a look at the, Wake Forest game is the next one up on the schedule, and try to get some prognostications on that. Everybody was kind of actually low on their winning scores, except for Darrell, who overshot it, and we didn't do so well on those. Jared 65-61. He must have been thinking first half only. I'm not sure. But speaking of such, the Cards did get it started against Florida State in a game where Louisville played quite well in the second quarter and also in the second half, getting the 84-56 win over the Seminoles. A Seminole team that came in here with obvious talent. Bianca Jackson had a heck of a game for them at guard, but Jared, this game was the one where Louisville just kind of came at and said, guess what? We've got a couple players named Olivia Cochran and Dana Evans, and Haley Van Lith, she's on the roster too. Try and beat these if you will. And the Knowles could not, sir.
Oh yeah, it's I think Dana, being a senior, she's kind of tired of losing to Florida State. It's not fun losing the same team over and over again when you want to call yourself an elite team and you've got this Achilles heel going on. So I think she stepped up and took some leadership and said, we're not going to mess around this time. She has a talented team around her. Maybe Florida State not having Sue Simrau potentially help some for us. And then I know that Sam Purcell had the scout on this one, and one of the managers there spoke with her for a little bit, and she's like, I don't think Sam Purcell slept in a week. He's been so focused and worried about this game. So they did put a lot of energy and time into this, and Florida State was one of those games they had on the schedule that we need to beat them this year.
Certainly so. Snapped a 3-game losing streak to the Knowles, and although Jeff was quite perturbed at the officiating crew that called that game and said so in some public venues, just a total of only 28 fouls in this game, kind of low for the crew of Fountain, Vasily, and D. But we had 2 players pick up 4 fouls. So, Jeff, your thoughts on the big win over a very good Knowles team?
Yeah, I had the preview on this on the write-up, and like I said in there, they're just all the question marks about this FSU team. They haven't played that many games, or hadn't, at least coming into this game on their schedule. They were low total numbers of games due to various pauses and rescheduling and all of that. Again, COVID craziness. You had the question mark about you're dealing with an interim head coach. That always is a little bit unsettling for a team. They were just coming out of their own pause, so they had been off for a while. First game back, and just really uncertain of how you're going to come out of that and how sharp and how toned and how fit you're going to be. We saw definitely some rusty behavior from the Cardinals coming out of our loss, out of our pause. So all the question marks here. I think FSU played quite well. I think they showed that they are a good team. They maybe weren't at the top peak of their performance in that situation. But they're a good team. They showed up. They played well. They played hard. I think they were the second best team on the court that day. But I don't want to take away any respect for them. That's a good team. They're gonna knock off a bunch of people, and they're gonna have a deep run in the tournament, I think.
Daryl, we had a couple scares in this game actually, with obviously Kiana Smith and an ankle, Haley Van Lith and a pinky. But the big stat here on this for me, we had 4 in double figures. 2 of those were off the bench, and the Louisville bench outscored FSU 35-3. Big.
Yeah, I think this was the game that Kiana came back. We weren't sure that if she was, right? It was that Thursday night game last week against, I can't remember now. Was it Boston College?
BC?
Yeah. And she came out and put on a show. She was 6 of 11, had 4 threes, and I believe she was the player of the week. What did the ACC give her?
Yes, she was player of the week.
Yeah, so that's a huge boost for her, I think. She played 30 minutes. Mikasa Robinson got the start again, so or that was her first start this week. Just a good game. We saw that 17 all in the first quarter, and then the Cards went off offensively and defensively, because 17 was the most that the Seminoles were able to score in a quarter, and it just got less as the game went on, where the Cards, they were able to score more. That second quarter is huge, and has been ever since we talked about it, I think, a couple weeks ago, how they were starting to struggle in the second quarter going into half. But they were 10 of 14 for 71%. I mean, my gosh. I mean, can you ask for much more than that from this team? And, I cannot say enough about Olivia Cochran. She seems to be doing, she's so efficient right now. She's taken, a couple shots a game, I think about 7 average, and she's making about 5 of them. And it's so consistent and fun to watch, and I just can't wait to see this freshman crew as seniors.
Case, this was a game where Kiana Smith did not start. They had Mikasa Robinson Casa in there in the starting role, but I'm kind of getting to like the aspect of Kiana coming in off the bench here. She did a wonderful job in a reserve role. And I say reserve role, she played 30 minutes, which is like the
most on the team.
Yeah. But a move by Walls, I think, maybe precipitated about not really knowing about the ankle. But he did go ahead and continue it again when they went and played the game on Thursday night, of course, obviously, and then the nice win that they had against Syracuse. But Kiana off the bench, I like it. How about you?
Well, we've talked about this philosophy in the past about having a player that just performs better coming off the bench. It may be that Kiana Smith just gets in that headspace a little bit more when she's able to get up to game pace from watching on the sideline rather than jumping straight into it. She did the same thing against Syracuse, like we mentioned. She still got 25 minutes in that game, still picked up 8 points and 4 rebounds then. But yeah, leading scorer, leading minutes earner in this one. She did pick up 4 fouls, but contributed 5 rebounds and 6 assists, compared to just 1 turnover and 2 steals. So she was all over the place. She performed exceptionally well coming off the bench. I think put to rest any doubts about the ankle slowing her down.
Right.
And was really part of a catalyst of that second quarter. We talked about how Louisville was probably going to need to jump out to a hot start against Florida State to prevent it from ending up like the other games of the past, and they didn't do that with that 17-17 first quarter. There was a little bit of concern there that things were going to be like before, but like Daryl mentioned, in that second quarter, just put all of that to rest with a 12-point win in the second quarter, really clamping down on defense, allowing fewer points, as Daryl mentioned, throughout each quarter. So incredible effort by the entire team. And I think that having a player like Kiana Smith, who is so talented and can act as a catalyst like that off the bench, is incredibly useful, and I believe will help a lot. And not to mention Liz Dixon coming off the bench and picking up a double-double. So
just incredible stuff out of that Georgia Tech transfer. Some of the numbers on this one, just to run through some stats real quickly on this, the Cards shot 54.2% from the floor, 32 for 59, holding Florida State to 40%. Louisville won the paint battle, 30-20 points in the paint. Points off turnovers did go to FSU, though, 13-6. They also beat the Cards on second chance points, 8-4. The big stats, of course, as we mentioned, the Cards 35-3 off the bench, leading that, and also 38-25 rebounding, Jared. That was maybe the stat that stood out to me the most, in that this was a very good, tall, and talented Florida State team. We have rebounded them by 13.
Yeah, I think rebounding's probably been a little more of a focus recently, as we've seen them step it up well against Florida State, and then also hold their own pretty solid against Syracuse the following game. So to me, it sounds like maybe rebounding has been one of their primary focuses in practice. And there's a lot of players out there that have done an excellent job rebounding. We've seen and Liz Dixon have some really great outings down in the post with the rebounds. We've seen Balagoon and Haley Van Lith both be pretty consistent with the rebounding. So there's plenty of players out there that we know can bring in the rebounds. And no one's really shying away from it this year, and no one's just standing watching shots fall and getting caught asleep for a moment. So they've done a good job with that so far, and just being able to read the shot and where the ball might bounce to.
And especially in the second half, because at the end of the first half, we only had a 15-14 rebounding edge. So they really picked it up in the final 20 minutes there and outgrabbed the Noles on the boards, which the win being a great one, obviously, for the Cards, as they go ahead and improve their record to 12-0 after that one, getting ready for a game against Syracuse on Thursday night. Jeff, the first thing about this Syracuse game is 9 o'clock, man. It was tough for me. How about you?
Yeah, a little bit. That wraps up the game about 11, which is kind of about my normal bedtime. So it was definitely I was watching it in bed, and ready to kind of catch the end of the game and then roll over and immediately go to sleep. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the late ones, but yeah, whatever. I'll deal with it.
At least we have games.
Yeah, I'm not going to get upset about it.
That's the main thing right there, Jared. Yeah, they are playing, and this was a game where Syracuse came in and had played a couple games after their COVID break. Daryl had been just rolling up the point totals on schools. We held them to 21 points under average, as the Cuse only managed 54 points against the Cards, Daryl. And another factor that I certainly paid attention to, they were 2 for 13 from three-point range against Louisville's defense.
Oh, yeah. Have you noticed this 3-point defense this past week? My gosh, Florida State wasn't able to land that many either. I was a little nervous about this one coming in, just because I feel like this is a little bit of a rivalry. Syracuse has been able to make it a good game against the Cards in the past several years, and they had, some really big players, and the Cards haven't been, dominating the rebounding column. So I was a little worried, but the team came out, with some energy. Costa Robinson got the start again, and I wrote about this in the write-up that, almost immediately you could see her presence with a couple offensive rebounds to give the Cards a second chance opportunity. I don't remember if in that first couple series if they actually landed the points. I don't believe they did, but just her being there and giving the Cards, you can hear the commentators go off on her, just say how important she is and she loves her role and this and that, but she really does bring an extra dimension to this team, and I'm starting to like her in the starting rotation because I feel like it rewards her efforts, and getting a player like Kiana Smith to come off bench. I mean, my gosh, that's got to be real scary scouting report for anybody who wants to play us.
And you know somebody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, a player is doing some amazing things in other roles that are not including scoring points when Debbie Antonelli shouts it out as a positive thing.
Yeah, I call it the Dennis Rodman role.
Right.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
Just the small things that aren't going to be on the stat sheet. I do feel like she has the opportunity to score every now and then, and I think Coach Wells wants her to, but she gets a little hesitant to put the shot up.
Yeah.
Does anybody else notice?
Yeah, she passed up several that I thought she should have taken.
Yeah, and Walls did mention that in the post game too.
Yeah.
Right.
We're trying to encourage her to take one or two more shots, but so what you've got to understand about Casa is she is a facilitator.
Yes.
She knows she's not the shooting scorer on that team. She knows she's out there with Dana and Haley and Olivia and Elizabeth and Kiana, whoever. There are plenty of people on the court with Casa that are going to take that shot and make that shot.
Yeah, but if they're going to leave her open at the top of the key, I mean, I want you to take it.
Or even at 5 feet away from the basket, which she had several wide open shots at 5 feet that she's passed on.
But you got so much talent out there. You do need a facilitator on the team. We've certainly seen Casa do that. Hey, Jared, guess what? We took a whopping 4 free throws attempts in the game.
Yeah,
made 3 of them. All came in the
little
third
rare
quarter.
there. And,
Man, they let them play.
I'm a fan of letting the players play. I'm never really enjoyed a game that's dictated too much by the officials blowing their whistles. So I'll let them play. Maybe not to the point where it gets to, I guess you're out at the park and you're getting beat to death without calling fouls. But yeah, I like to watch them play. And sometimes I think the whistle does need to be blown in certain cases. But it's hard to complain about officiating as much when you win.
We had Eddie, Billy, and Denise, all WNBA refs as well, that called this one when Denise is the head of a crew. Sometimes you can expect a whistle fest. It did not happen on Thursday night, though, as they had just a total of 22 fouls called total, and nobody in foul trouble at all. Here's what gets me on this one case. There were 2 things that were being hyped for this game. First of all, the sensational freshman, Camila Cadorza, a 6'7" freshman center. She was going to come in and pound the Cards, as everybody was thinking, right? The second thing was the matchup between the guards Evans and Van Lith versus Lewis and Mankakea, and I think Louisville won both those battles, sir.
Yeah, you look at Cardoso. She got hers, right? She got 13 points, 11 rebounds. Tied for the team lead in rebounds and second in points, but Louisville also really worked her over on the inside, forcing her into 7 turnovers, which if you can get a big to just start turning the ball over all the time, that's what you're going for. So a great credit to them for that. She had, more than half of Louisville's total team turnovers that way. And definitely Louisville winning their guard battle, no surprise there. The Cards combined for 12 rebounds, 8 assists, and 39 points compared to just 7 rebounds and 11 assists. Menga Kahia with 11 assists, but Lewis was 0 and a combined 16 points for them. So definitely a win for the Cards in that stat. I did want to go back. I've been looking at some stats while you all were talking about Casa and about free throws in general. I think that one of her big problems is because she's not taking shots, obviously, she's not getting to the line. She's played 220 minutes this year. She's attempted 3 free throws.
Wow.
Even if you want to be a facilitator, she's the type of player who can handle the ball. She can drive the lane even before she kicks it out. You've got to be able to do something with that. And if you're not going to take and make a lot of shots, you have to be able to force the opposing team to respect you on the inside. And if that leads to drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line, that's better for the team because it's going to put the opposing team's bigs in foul trouble generally, and it's going to get you to the line more often. So I think that's a place where she could really improve, is even if she's not going to shoot, if you're not going to take elbow jumpers, you're not going to shoot from the free throw line or take threes. Obviously she's not comfortable doing that and wants to pass the ball around more. But if you can get to the lane, get for those layups, then that's going to unlock a whole new element for her and for the rest of the team. I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's one thing to have a player that is not a shooter that the other teams sag off of at the 3-point line. But when you have a player who's so much of not a shooter that they're sagging off of you as you're going in for a layup because they're pretty confident you're not going to take that shot, you're going to try and pass it off. You need to be a little more willing to take a shot at that point, I think.
Turning point for me, this one came in the third quarter. Syracuse had knocked this down to a game where they were knocking on the door at Louisville, and the Cards responded by going on an 8-0 run to blow the thing out to a 9-point lead. They get a 3 from Haley. They get a 3 from Dana. They get a layup on a fast break from Dana, and all of a sudden they are up by 9 in less than 90 seconds. Syracuse had to be kind of doing the what the heck here as they stagger back to the bench to ask CeeLo Green. Quentin Billsman, what happened? What happened? I didn't see the punch, Coach. What happened?
Yeah, this kind of became the Dana and Haley show. With 21 points and 18 points respectively, they kind of took over this game. Particularly late in the game, it was noticeable when you watch the play. It was they said, nope, this is not how this is going to go. We're not going to play this team tight. We're going to put a solid win on them. And they just said, all right, let's do it. Made it happen.
So, Daryl, go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Dana's got that killer instinct in her now. And I think she's learned in the past from some of these close games, you can't fool around and let a team hang in there. And she's learned that as she's grown and become into a senior. And we see that there's times where maybe she's just annoyed or frustrated, or she's like, all right, this is enough. And Dana just takes over a game. And it's fun to watch when she gets to that point. I would love to see her do that from the moment tip-off starts to the final buzzer. Just let her control the game like that, because she'll have these spurts, and like you said, where in that 90-second span, and she was a huge part of that, both in scoring but also in forcing some turnovers. And I think that's going to help lead them into some victories against some more tougher opponents coming on up. Looks like Notre Dame's been having a pretty good year, and then with NC State coming up, and I think we're going to rely on Dana and her killer instinct to help us through some of these games.
No doubt about that, for sure. It was the Dana and Haley show, and if I had told you before the game, Daryl, that Dana and Haley would combine for 9 made 3-pointers and 12 rebounds, what would have been your response to that?
Gosh, now that you say that, that's insane, because like I said, this Syracuse team is long, and I was worried about that. And then you've got, like 2 of the smaller players on the opposing team giving it to them like that. Just wow. I'm having so much fun watching this team. Compared to the men, it's like this is night and day. And once the team got that number 1 ranking, I think they put it into another gear. And piggybacking off of Jared's comments about Dana, I could see her endurance and conditioning is just beyond almost everybody else out there. I don't even think she sweats. Jared, can you tell us, does she sweat?
Well, if you want to have hair and eyelashes like that, you probably shouldn't be sweating too much.
Yeah, I don't see any sweat. And she is running faster than anybody, and it's insane to me how above and beyond everyone else she is when she's on the court. And they're just starting to talk about National Player of the Year for her senior season. So that's really exciting, and we're getting to the good part of the schedule, and we got 13 games under our belt, and Coach Walls can kind of breathe a sigh of relief that he got the minimum requirement, and his team is rolling.
I guess the game against the Cardinal couple crew is probably off now.
I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah, you were going to be our point guard, Daryl.
Oh my gosh, you got to see my shot.
No, that's okay. We're just a point guard. We're not going to let you shoot. But something that I've noticed, in case you can kind of pontificate on this a little bit more, is that the Dana Evans of the 2021 season has a very short memory on failures. Where the old Dana used to kind of maybe brood and maybe kind of sulk and maybe not get fully back into a game and get fully engaged after a few mistakes or a bad first half shooting night. This Dana Evans just kind of shrugs his shoulders and said, "Okay, I missed two in a row. I'm a shooter. I'm going to keep shooting." And guess what? They go in.
Yeah, I think that kind of comes from a revised role that she's having this year. This is kind of the first year that she's being asked to do it all. Obviously, there's still a lot of people around her that are being very successful. This team wouldn't be where it is without them. But Dana Evans is, by and large, the leader on the team and is expected to be that. So if she comes out, she misses a few shots, you can't put your head in the sand and try to give up on it, because the team is depending on her to break out of a slump. If Dana Evans has a shooting slump for an entire game and everyone else has an average night, it's probably going to be bad for Louisville. So Louisville's really depending on her to be able to break out of those, and I think that this new role that she's in as the leader, like I just mentioned, allows her mentally to recognize, Coach Walls has that faith in her. Her teammates have that faith in her, that if she's just going to keep putting up shots, eventually they're going to start to fall, and she's going to get back into a better headspace. She's also been fantastic about, even if she's struggling a little bit while shooting, she has opened up her game a lot. Her assist numbers are through the roof over last year and over previous years. She's getting more rebounds, which is interesting, and has cut down on fouling and turnovers. So really the epitome of what you're looking for in a senior guard, and taking this forward, she's going to be the key for the team, as she has been all year.
Got to agree with that 100%. Some of the numbers in this one, as we kind of wrap up Syracuse when he was 67-54 cards. A couple of stats that I kind of found interesting here is that on second chance points, Syracuse out second chanced the Cards 15-6. I would not have thought that. They won the points in the paint battle 36-22. And another stat that I found kind of interesting is that their bench points. Syracuse was not known as a team that had a very deep bench, okay? But they got a really, really big effort out of Emma Inkster. She had 16 points, and they won the bench points battle against a shortened Cards rotation in this one, where Louisville lost that one 18-10 off the bench points. The Cards went from all point purposes and accounts are 7 deep in the game. Okay, they've been going deeper in other games. Narika Kona only seen 3 minutes. Alana Smith just seen 2 minutes in this one. And Jeff Walls kind of said after the game, "I need to get this rotation opened back up again." He said there were just some things I wanted to see out of certain people, and I really need to start, getting some more people out there, because especially starting Sunday, games are coming up, boom, 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 in a hurry for the Cards. So they're going to have to maybe open that roster up a little bit. But hey, all in all, a good win for Louisville, 13-0 now, 6-0 in the ACC. They travel to play Wake Forest here on Sunday. And if I can just go a bit into it, a Wake Forest team, 7-5, mid-pack ACC, 4-4 in conference, and just breaking down their conference lead. They've got wins over UNC, which I'm very impressed with. Virginia Tech, not a bad team at all. Miami and BC, but their losses. NC State, yeah, you can kind of figure that one. They've actually played North Carolina twice, lost the second time to North Carolina, lost to Notre Dame, and just got totally blown out of the water against Georgia Tech their last time out, losing that game, I think, with 28 points or something. It was 73-44, Jeff. Wow.
Yeah, but let's not forget to acknowledge that Georgia Tech is a very, very good team right now. Nell Fortner's done some great things in a couple of years down there. They're ahead of Notre Dame in the ACC standings, with some kind of weird numbers because COVID scheduling again. But they're third in the ACC. They're a very good team. I don't know if they're in national rankings, but they probably should be considered for that, or at least close to it. That's a good team. Let's not forget that.
Darryl, when I think of Wake Forest, obviously Jen Hoover, head coach there, just love her demeanor and the way she acts on the sidelines. But to me, Wake Forest consists primarily of three people. Ivana Raza, obviously the 6'2", 100-pound strong forward that Wake Forest has. I think if you hit her with a hard, breeze and knock her over, but she's actually leading them in scoring and in rebounds this year. Gina Conti, just a tough as nails point guard, I think, out of the Boston area. When Conti comes out there, she's going to give you a big fight just about every game. And another player for them that's done some really good things, Christina Mora, a Canadian girl that the Cards were interested in during her high school career. She ended up though with Jen Hoover and the Wake Forest squad. What do we have to fear from Wake, Daryl?
Yeah, that's a seasoned team, sounds like. And the fact that they were able to take North Carolina down to the wire both times, when that team is just, when I think of North Carolina, I think of size. But they were both very close games. I think the second one they lost was in overtime to them. But you mentioned the Virginia Tech game too. But that one's another close one. So the wins that they are getting are just very close wins. So I'm not sure if I would have them as a ranked squad. But, it's any game. Does everybody hear that? Any game for the Cards is going to be the focus, and the Cards are going to treat it like it's the championship.
I think you're right on that. And with that target on the back, obviously anybody Louisville plays from now on, if they're still number one as the season rolls on, they are going to have that target on the back. Jared, what scares you about Wake? I look at Raza as being the threat for them. She seemingly can do everything for them, Jared. But Gina Conti's a tough little guard.
Yeah, I think more concerning with Wake is there's a couple things, and one of it is it's our only road game in an 8-game stretch, so you kind of get comfortable playing at home. And then on top of that, you're looking at some ranked opponents here and there. We just became ranked number 1, just played a ranked Syracuse team. We've got a NC State on the radar here in about a week from now. So I know there's a few games all here in a row, boom, 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 Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. But sometimes you look at those teams that don't have a number in front of them and you overlook it just a little bit too much. So I think that plus the fact we're playing on the road may just almost fall it into a trap game. And I think that's more the concern at this point for me.
Leading in with that, then, let's get into some predictions, shall we? Cards versus Wake Forest. Okay, since you were our winner last week, we will give you the honors of going first this week. Louisville versus Wake Forest. What you got for me?
Well, I've been looking at this for like 20 minutes.
Me too, huh?
Going on. And
he takes the title seriously, folks.
I haven't been able to come up with anything because Wake Forest and this Louisville matchup is just so strange. So Wake's played, 12 games. They've lost by an average margin of 1.7 points. Or their total margin is an average of 1.7 points. So they're playing very consistent games. When they have a big win, they have a big loss just to match it back out. Like happened against Georgia Tech. But when you look at Louisville and Wake, despite the number of games that both have played, they've only got 2 common opponents, and those games are eerily similar. Wake played Boston College at home. They beat them by 20. Louisville played Boston College at home. They beat them by 19. Wake played Virginia Tech on the road. They beat them by 3. Louisville played Virginia Tech on the road. They beat them by 4. So Wake is weird, right? And there's some similarities to this.
Our apologies to the people in Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
I don't apologize.
College.
No, I don't apologize. No. Wake is weird.
I want that on a shirt.
Wake is weird, yeah.
The remainder of their
where's the forest at Wake Forest? That's what I want to know.
The remainder of their schedule is brutal. They play
really is.
Obviously Louisville tomorrow. They get Florida State twice. They get Clemson twice. They still have to play at Syracuse, at Georgia Tech again. They have to play NC State again. I mean,
they're only they got Pitt and Miami, and that's
Yep,
about the only things you might consider easy.
Sorry, Deeks, but I don't think you're going to end quite so close to 500 as you are now. But man, Louisville, every time we think we know something about them, they surprise you, beating Florida State by almost 30, and then coming back and only beating Syracuse by 13 with drastically different scores there. As I said last week, Louisville's been mercurial in scoring. That bears out over the last couple of games too. But I think that Louisville is going to come out. I think they're going to be able to score quite a few against Wake. But I think Wake is going to keep it closer than maybe we might suspect. Yeah, I don't intend that to mean it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go with an 82-65 final.
82-65 in what may have been the longest lead up to a prediction in the history of Cardinal.
You didn't let me talk about the game at all. Everybody else got to talk about Wake, so I got mine in there before I made my prediction.
I've been sitting here trying to backtrack, apologize to the people in Winston-Salem that are listening for your, terrible remark about that. Very nice to see that. In case you're on social probation for the next 2 weeks now. All right. Jared, you gave it an effort last week like I did. We weren't anywhere in the ballpark, pal. Let's face it. What do you got for me today against this game tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't see Louisville having another low-scoring game like they did up here against Syracuse last week. I think their offense kind of shines again and gets back to the normal. I'm going to say that the Cards win this one pretty easily, 84-60.
Jared with an 84-60 prediction. Since I was also horrible at this last week, I'll get mine out of the way because I know Daryl hates to do these, and Jeff will probably take as long as case to give his reasoning. I think the Cards come out good. They're fired up. They're number one. Dana's got a new hairstyle. Hey, come on. The stars are aligned for this one, okay? I'm going to go with the Cards in a high-scoring 91-57 blowout of the Demon Deeks, okay? 91-57 from Paulie on this one. All right, Jeff, I've delayed you as long as I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at Wake's scoring totals, and they tend to end up around 70, so I'm going to say 70 for them. I'll give the Cards about 84, so 84-70.
84-70 out of Jeff. Daryl, you got your dartboard out? Have you gotten some numbers up here?
Actually, I was just looking at my notes from last week. I think I got it wrong last week, and that total is supposed to be for this week's game. So I'm going to give the same score from last week, 91-66, the highest.
Going back on it again, that's awfully close to what I said. I said 91-57.
Yeah, but I had mine written down before you did, so.
Okay, that logic for what it may be. Daryl goes with a 91-66. It's kind of like, yeah, I know this key fits this lock. Let me try it at a different angle. Okay, so we've got those in. I did want to save a little bit of time here because I know Jeff will want to discuss this a little bit. We've got a volleyball schedule for the spring out, by golly. And isn't that fantastic, as we know that the Cards are going to be involved in some ACC matches starting on February 27th against Notre Dame. Jeff, kind of break this roster down to us a little bit here, some things that I don't like about it.
Yeah, the schedule. So keep in mind, this is not a new season. This is an extension of the season that was played in the fall. And of course, the Cards played in the ACC played in a pod system in the fall. The Cards played against the northern teams of the ACC. The intention was to not play any of those teams again in the spring, and this was known as the plan in the fall. So, what they've done, yeah, apparently, So what they've done is that they are creating, almost like the round robin tournaments you sometimes see. Teams play in the non-conference beginning of the season, where they'll have 3 or 4 teams come together and do kind of a round-robin matchup between those teams on a weekend. They're doing that for conference play this year in the spring part of this season. 10 matches for each team, and 3 teams come together in a location, and they all play each other. So three matches over 3 days. UofL has an extra match thrown in there. We are playing Notre Dame as an extra match because that was the one that was postponed in the fall, so they're rescheduling that one into the beginning of this spring session of play. So we do have 11 matches where most teams have 10. It's going to be over the course of basically 5 weeks, 6 when you count in that Notre Dame match for us. We're at home twice, 2 of those weekends, the first and then the second to last. It's basically all the teams that we didn't play in the fall, plus Notre Dame again. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
Only one Thursday game in that entire mix as well. The majority of those, of course, being played on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Jeff, we got Iko, we got Anna back. What else?
Yeah, we're still going to be looking at pin headers. Iko, Anna, and Claire are going to be the main ones. It's going to be a fun season. We've got Tori Dilfer back as a setter. We've got Alexis Hamilton, Alexa Hendricks, and Mia Stander are still there as defensive specialists and libero for Alexis. It's going to be fun. We got Amaya and Anna, the A squads in the middle. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Plus we get the little bit of look that we saw of the new freshmen coming in, particularly Anna DeBeer out there on the pin as well, adding into those outside hitters.
Jared, you've been pool photographer for just about all the sports so far this year for Louisville women's athletics. Any word yet on volleyball? Are you going to be back in the Cardinal Arena snapping shots?
I've not heard anything quite yet for any of the sports coming up yet. I'm sure they're still UofL on their end trying to figure out just everything in general, because you've got a lot of sports all playing at the same time and probably trying to divvy up and figure out how they need to make things work. And I know Nick's got plenty on his plate right now with the women's basketball, and then with swim and dive also going on. We've got our SIDs have plenty on their plate staying busy, so maybe we'll hear some stuff in the upcoming week or two.
Daryl, you'll be obviously, I would think, monitoring some of these from the command center, doing stuff of that nature. How different is it to do a volleyball broadcast than other sports?
Yeah, I got asked back to my first sports job. I'm so excited.
Yay.
It's going to be weird because volleyball's in the fall and we're going to be doing it in the spring in between all the other spring sports. But I don't care. I'm excited. I'm just glad to be back and in that building. I don't know if anybody has seen it yet, but it's over there on Floyd Street across from softball. And it's just, they got the network underway and then COVID happened. So I'm just glad to be back there.
One of my favorite recollections of that is the one time I was in there, they were actually doing Louisville women's basketball shoots for last year, and I was going to interview Yassine Diop at the same time. Once I got past Jeremy No, I got in there and got to sit up there on that main studio stage with the ACC logo and the table and everything. Was sitting up there like I was big time interviewing Yassine Diop.
Yeah.
And, Yassine said, "I want him to stay around for the next one."
Now imagine being a recruit and coming to that studio and being like, I want to be here.
I mean, I really felt like I was just like, okay, we'll be back after these commercial messages. I felt like I was.
Yeah, I want to be the person that gives those tours to recruits.
It's got to be just an eye-popping kind of thing for people to do. But hey, gang, guess what? This clock is very rapidly approaching noon on us here. We've had another great show today, so let's go ahead and jump into some final thoughts, I think. I can't remember who I started with last week, so I'm going to start with Case this week. Final thoughts, sir.
That's a trend, I think. I think I always end up being first. But my final thought is just a fun one. I think the timing of Dana's hair change is suspect. I think that she is following along with new Seahawks legend DK Metcalf's trend of dyeing her hair to be the color of the opponent every week to get in their head. So that's what I'm thinking. She went with gold and black this week, taking on Wake Forest. So I suspect we might see a red from Dana before next week's matchup against NC State.
Well, no, we play Miami and she goes green. Hey.
Green and orange. Yeah.
All
All right.
Jared, what you got for me, pal?
Not much. Just excited to keep having sports going on, and knock on wood that everything stays smooth with all of the players and coaches that we get to keep seeing the sports happen.
Indeed, we are 100% on that. Daryl, what's on your mind?
I'm just gonna piggyback off what I posted the other day. Just we're coming up on the year anniversary of Kobe's death, and actually, fun fact, I was with Jared that morning. We were doing I was doing my fantasy football pictures before we heard the news. We had a basketball game that afternoon, so we went to the Yum Center right after. And yeah, I wouldn't have been able to smile for those pictures if I got that news before we took them. But yeah, we're just coming up on a year for that, and I just will always remember, being at the Yum Center, getting the news, and then like watching everybody else around us get the news. And I actually made a friendship with somebody at the Yum Center because of that. We just bonded over just being really upset over it. And every game after that, I would shout them out and make sure I say hi. And yeah, it's just crazy how it's been a year since then.
Wonderful, wonderful news there for sure. Always nice to meet new people and share things with them, no matter how sad they may be. Yes. Jeff, what you got on board, bud?
Yeah, we talked about volleyball scheduling and went through the UofL schedule a little bit. We also mentioned Bellarmine earlier, and yes, they start their spring play tomorrow. They are playing in Bowling Green at Western Kentucky. They have a double header. They play Mercer in the afternoon at 2:30, and they play Western Kentucky at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. So the Western match will be streamed via Bellarmine or Western's site. I don't know exactly who's doing the actual streaming. It is through a Facebook live feed, so you can check that out. I may check that out. See how Bellarmine does. Give a little bit of support to our fellow Louisvillians there.
Absolutely. Again, good luck to them for sure on that. As for me, I'm kind of proud to announce that Paulie's picks are back. That's right. After taking the winter off, we're back into prognosticating and analyzing horse racing. Not in Kentucky yet. They're down in Gulfstream Park in sunny Allendale, Florida, where the Pegasus World Cup will be run today. A very prestigious yearly event where some of the best horses and jockeys and trainers and owners in the nation gather on the sunny shores of Florida down there to run for races upwards of $3 million. That's right. So fun stuff there. Paulie's Picks. You can access it on the computer however you want. It's pauliespicks.com. That's no S on the end of that. Paulie Picks. I think I've got some good ones up there today. I'm going to have some fun with that. Writing off my profits of 2020, so I haven't had S on here for a loan yet. There we go. Hey, we appreciate everybody being with us today. Everybody have a safe week. Try to do the best you can out there in this changing and different times for us. But we'll see you next Saturday at 11 unless you know something we don't. Everybody take care.
Go Cards.